morning, everybody.
Hello.
We're on. How you doing? All right.
Well, good. Hi. Good to meet you.
Bernhard, how you doing? Dr.
Good,
Bernhard.
good. So, hello, everyone. So, today, what you learn is what blockchain and sustainability has in common. And we, as VeChain and Boston Consulting Group, we have a great solution that is kind of solving the problem that a lot of people have currently. They want to do something good as individuals. They don't want to be forced like companies, but they just want to do something good, and they want to get rewarded for this. And what we talk about today is how that works. So, let's have a seat.
Thank you, sir. I guess first introductions.
First, a little bit of round of introduction. So,
well, I'll hop in. So hello, everybody. My name's Jake. I'm the communications lead at VeChain. Do a lot of public speaking, project management. I've been working closely with Bernhard over the past year plus on our VeBetterDAO and sustainability initiatives.
And hello, Bernhard Kronfellner, more than 15 years at Boston Consulting Group, partner there for Web3, and it's a pleasure to work very closely over the last year and also the next upcoming 2 years together with VeChain. So we started already. So Web3 for a better world. So how does this work? And this is a joint project of VeChain and BCG. We are helping here as BCG very intensively VeChain to bring this to life. And the mission, as I said already in the beginning, is we want to incentivize people to perform sustainable actions. This sounds a little bit abstract, don't you think? But what does it mean in practice, for instance? Do you have any example?
So that's a great handover. So what we're doing is essentially leveraging blockchain to incentivize people with rewards, which we are doing through a token called Better. Using the blockchain to basically timestamp and prove that a particular activity took place. So the rationale of it is that by recording these actions and verifying that they took place, rewarding the individual for doing that action, you can incentivize behavior in a certain way. Humans are driven by incentives and rewards, so it's a means to encourage positive behavior without the whole taxation element. Sustainability quite commonly goes hand in hand with this notion of you should pay more, there's a greater expense for taking part in sustainable activities, but through this model, you are able to reward and incentivize people instead, which is a lot more powerful vehicle for achieving kind of positive outcomes.
Yeah. To be very practically, when I stand up and I see those coffee mugs here and here another coffee mug, so this is made out of plastic, right? I mean, nowadays, to drink out of a plastic mug, wouldn't it be nice to use your own mug? But you're like, okay, but I won't bring my own mug to the conference, right? But what if you get incentivized for this? What if you get some extra points for this? And then maybe next time you get your coffee a little bit cheaper. Wouldn't that be great? Yeah. And this is one of the elements that we have in the ecosystem with VeChain. It's called Mugshot, an app that is basically incentivizing people to bring your own mug and not, the plastic mugs that we have down there. Yeah, it's a very practical example. Maybe you have another example.
Yeah, one example I really love actually is we built an ecosystem with BYD. Some of you might be familiar, it's an electric vehicle manufacturer. We built an ecosystem with them where a user drives their vehicle, they get to the end of their journey, and they scan the car's dashboard. The car computer has already calculated the miles traveled. DNV, certification body, they've made a smart contract that calculates the carbon offset equivalent, and then essentially you get rewarded for the amount of carbon you offset versus a gasoline vehicle. So that's one example of how, again, you can use incentives to drive positive action, and the secondary element to that is these tokens could then be spent at different kinds of retailer or insurance providers or all kinds of secondary parties within the ecosystem that would then accept these tokens for discounts and things like that. So in that sense, you can drive this kind of new mode of incentivized sustainability and create more incentives for people actually to do the sustainable action. Because it's all good telling people, hey, you should be sustainable, but maybe not everyone cares as much. There's that whole thing as well. So if there's a reward for you doing an action you already do anyway, I mean, it's a powerful vehicle for change.
Yeah. Well, I always say you can force companies by laws. but you cannot force individuals to do something in a sustainable way. You cannot say, use your own mug, or go to your grocery store by public transport. Yeah, you cannot force them, but you can incentivize them. And again, this is what this is all about. Yeah? You get rewarded for these little tiny decisions that you do on a daily basis. Going to the grocery stores by foot, by public transport, using your own mug, taking an EV instead of a normal car. These are the small little tiny decisions every day that all of us are taking, and if everyone are taking those sustainable decisions, then we hopefully have a better world. And since I mentioned better world, maybe why you can explain us why I emphasize that much on better.
Yeah, well, of course. Actually, I give one more anecdote. There's something, when we talk about sustainability, I just want to broaden the scope as well, right? Because people often associate just environmental stuff with sustainability. It's a very broad remit, health, environmental, social. So one thing I really love is there's an application where you can essentially earn rewards for cycling. I don't know if we've got any cyclists in the room, but again, that's being sustainable, earning rewards for improving your health, taking the burden off a kind of regional healthcare system, stuff like that. Anyway, we sidetracked, but regards better, yes. So as you can now see on the board, we launched an ecosystem called the VeBetterDAO. So this is an extension of VeChain's kind of service offerings. It's a kind of sustainability-focused DApp ecosystem, but why I wanted to preface sustainability in that way is because it's not just about ecological stuff. It can be environmental, economic, social, all those forms of sustainability in one. So it's a X to earn DApp ecosystem. We talked about these micro rewards as a core part of the this approach. X just simply means the unknown variable. It could be anything that fits within that remit. So you do activity X, you earn a reward. As it obviously points out in the second bit there, performing a sustainable action, you get these better tokens. And it's not only limited to better tokens. I mean, projects that are on board, they may introduce their own reward layers. It's essentially at the discretion of any company, business builder, whatever they would like to offer as part of that reward package. It could be experiences. I mean, it's whatever. It's an incentive in some form, a desirable outcome.
Yeah. So again, and then when you have better, you can use it for something else. So again, let's take the example that I had before. You come with your own mug to the coffee shop, you get better for this as a token, as a reward, as a kind of bit loyalty point. Yeah, but it's an app overarching loyalty point, so you can use this particular loyalty point token in another app. Yeah, you get then your EV for 20% off maybe, or use it somewhere else. So it's great for the individuals, but it's also great for the companies. The companies, they have a part of the ecosystem. They might not even be recognized because they're too small, too early, not known in some other parts of the world, and you have bigger players and smaller players there. And for the smaller players, it's great because they're on this list how to use then those loyalty points, those better tokens at the end. And then, customers are like, oh, wow, what's that? I might buy it. Yeah, I might buy it for my token that I just earned. So for the small and also for big companies, it's also great to be part of this ecosystem because you enlarge your client base. Yeah, because you're part of this ecosystem, because you accept this new kind of currency, so to say, as well. Yeah, and this is, by the way, the job of BCG. We are onboarding not only the smaller companies, but also the bigger companies into this ecosystem to make a global, overarching ecosystem out of it, where everyone can take a sustainable decision, earn those tokens, and also use those tokens in large or smaller organizations. I'm really looking forward to this. It's one of my amazing projects I've ever done for over the last 15 years, I would say, since I'm with BCG. So.
Yeah, maybe we could touch on how we're overcoming that adoption hurdle as well, because there's the whole, people obviously coming into the blockchain world at the moment, they have to deal with wallets, they have to deal with these kind of quite abstract means of engaging and interacting with the kind of, the crypto side of things. So we're working on some really cool things at the moment. A particular, wallet as a service, It's a kind of new way to essentially abstract away the wallet component. So for the Web2 companies that Bernhard's referring to that are being onboarded, your users will log in, nice simple login password interface. No, they don't see any visible wallet. Their private keys are kind of secured via cloud. Basically, it's abstracting away all of the visible blockchainness. So you earn points, which would be spendable in other ecosystems, but to them it's a reward point like any other kind of ecosystem. So it's blockchain without people realizing they're using blockchain, which is a very powerful kind of conduit.
So we're talking a lot about the idea, the new product, the global ecosystem for these little tiny sustainable decisions now. This runs on VeChain, and maybe we talk a little bit who is VeChain. Yeah. So we brought just an overview here. So many of us know VeChain, of course, but an amazing part of VeChain is it's a very sustainable app in itself. Yeah. And this totally fits with this narrative of this new product. Maybe Jake, so you have probably some other great stories of VeChain, why they're so sustainable and why they're one of the best blockchains, layer ones that we have.
Well, I can start at the top. I won't bore you with all the details, but essentially spawned in 2015, working as a private consortium chain. CEO Sunny Liu, he's ex-Louis Vuitton, so he started in this kind of fashion and supply chain space. I mean, many of you, or whoever does know us, probably aware of the supply chain narrative. Ultimately, that was just the use cases we were born from. So when we went to public mainnet, there was a lot of consideration about the type of architecture we wanted. One element of that was being very lean. So we have 101 block producers. We have thousands of community nodes that can take part in governance, but the core blockchain itself is run by 101 nodes, which is very lightweight in terms of energy consumption. So that's obviously a big issue in terms of all the global discussions around blockchain at the moment, especially in the EU, where we're moving to the kind of Web3 dominated world, but considerations around sustainability, energy consumption are pretty central to which protocols will go first in line. So got some stats down here for you. One that I always have in mind is running the blockchain for 1 year is the equivalent to a single gasoline vehicle. I don't think that one's actually on there, but yeah, I mean, it just shows how incredibly efficient the blockchain is. So in terms of energy consumption, we can see there very low versus Ethereum, at least the proof of work version. And yeah, we're best known for our work with enterprise partners. So another key facet of this direction we're taking now is that we're taking all these learnings and pushing into a more public domain with our adoption efforts. So, best known case I'd say is probably Walmart. We just hit 200 million transactions with them, which is a huge milestone. That's supply chain from farm to shelves, the entire logistics trail, public-facing consumer application where they can scan and look at the entire life cycle of a product. This technology is already bleeding into the edge of society, and it shows that, the Fortune #1 wants that technology. Everyone is going to get that technology at some point. So, yeah, we've definitely set a precedent, but mostly in the enterprise world. So this sustainability push is more of a push towards the more public Web3 adoption domain now.
And I guess it's no secret, and we can be very proud of this project already. Over the last 2 weeks, we also have A-World. A-World is part of United Nations, so also in the sustainable area, sustainable narrative. And over the last 2 weeks, and this is only showing how this is perceived from the ecosystem and from people out there. Yeah. Only the last 2 weeks with A-World from United Nations, we had 100,000 activities. Yeah, so people that were doing something that were active on chain, using the wallets, getting those tokens. So it's really, it's picking up. Yeah, so it's a very new product, and it's already showing that it's picking up. Yeah, and we'll certainly see much more of this. And I bet that next time the stage will be even bigger than that one, when we can, have maybe much bigger numbers than this 100,000 over the last 2 weeks.
Well, just to add a point, what I think is impressive is that this is like non-crypto native. So the A-World app is part of the Act Now UN program, but these aren't people that are into crypto. So this is a public-facing application, which I think is a nice litmus test for engagement. And it was specifically around EV. So it's a niche of a niche. It's like, they've kind of embraced this new direction quite willingly, which is great to see.
So the last step for this speech, first we spoke about the product, then we spoke about VeChain. The last step, and maybe there are some developers out there or apps out there, ventures out there that want to be part of this ecosystem. Maybe let's talk a little bit about that. Yeah. So how can your hopefully sustainable venture that you have be part of this ecosystem?
Good question. Good question. So we recently launched an entire pipeline essentially to help on board. So we launched a technology center 2 years ago now. They've been pumping out tools to get everything ready. But more recently, we launched a grant program, which is worth up to 100K, which is essentially a kind of integration assistance package. So, get familiar with our tools, integrate VeChain, etc., with whatever kind of Web2 or Web3 business you're operating. And then on top of that, we have this DAO, which we haven't touched on actually. We should probably get to that. So we'll touch on that afterwards. But there's a DAO which comes with, again, another funding mechanism, community support and marketing support. After that, once you've hit a certain critical mass, you get BCG business mentorship, which obviously in the world of business is basically the best you can get. So world-class opportunities there. And then also connection to venture capital opportunities through BCG down the line as well. So there's an entire pathway here to kind of help support your developmental journey onto and through VeBetterDAO.
Yeah, so I cannot emphasize more on that. So you'll get the entire BCG boost that you need when you want to address big companies, when you need VC money, and so on. So you'll get for free, because actually we are part of this. Yeah. So when you onboard on VeChain, on this VeBetterDAO ecosystem, BCG is on there, and make sure that you will be successful as a venture. In addition, and also emphasizing on this, in addition to the amazing grant program that you have, between 20K and up to 100K, depending which stage you are and so on, which is also, good money, and especially when you start, and especially when you start in the sustainability area, yeah, with your app. And for you, again, you come to a big ecosystem. People see you in the list when they want to, spend their token, when they want to spend their loyalty points that they got from, using their own mark or going to the grocery store by foot or using an EV and so on and so on. Yeah. Then you're like, okay, and I'll get a lot of tokens. So how can I spend them? Then you scroll down. Oh wow, what's that? That's interesting. That might be exactly your app that is part of this ecosystem then. And again, boosted by BCG then. So look into this. We are here a little bit longer as well for questions.
Yeah,
especially when you're a venture builder or when you're a VC, when you're part of the ecosystem. We just started the product. It's picking up tremendously. Yeah, more than expected, I would say. So it's really great.
Yeah, we could put some numbers down quick. I think we've still got 5 minutes. We're still on testnet right now, but we are imminently going to mainnet. So obviously that comes with a new slew of products and opportunities. But yeah, I think in terms of, only a couple of months, we've generated 20,000 holders, thousands of daily active users, I think about 4,000, 250K plus transactions. And this is obviously starting from a relatively, smaller, starting off in the VeChain ecosystem. So naturally, there's this smaller cold start component to it. But as we go to mainnet, as we integrate this wallet as a service, as we start to go to the Web2 companies through BCG, naturally there's going to be an uptick. And I know we've got some apps, which I cannot spoil right now because my boss will hunt me down. But some very big brands, an application about to drop there. Maybe you know what I'm talking about. But yeah, keep your eyes peeled on VeChain socials for that, because there's a very cool leveling up of something we've done previously. So a little bit of beta for everyone.
And also a little bit later, so next week we will be at a consensus. There will be an announcement of a very big partnership of VeChain with someone else. Stay tuned.
Yeah, cool. I'm not sure if we could do question and answer. I'm not sure if the
I don't know if it works,
right.
But happy to receive question if that works.
Fair.
Otherwise, we're here a little bit longer for one-to-one questions then.
Yeah, maybe we can just talk. I think it might be a bit loud for that. I mean, maybe you can tell us a bit, how has reception been when you've spoken about this project to other kind of, partners in the network?
I mean, again, as soon as people get it, that we are trying to solve this big question of sustainability, that you cannot force people to perform a sustainable action. As soon as people and companies are getting this, they're amazed. And they're like, okay, how can we be part of this? But of course, with large organizations, it needs a little bit of, a push to get into the boardrooms. I mean, that's our job as BCG in this entire project, to go directly to the boardrooms and to explain it to them. But the perception is great. Yeah, so people are really looking into this. And I mean, we are all Web3 lovers and crypto lovers and so on. But I haven't seen such a great idea and great product over years. Yeah.
I think what's particularly compelling, especially when you look at the European market, is like from a regulatory compliance standpoint, this is the way the world's going. Yeah. Your friends in the crowd. This is the way that Europe in particular is going. So it's a meeting of worlds where you've got this new technological avenue that solves the issue of greenwashing and like this obfuscation of information trails at the same time that regulators are pushing companies in that direction. Meanwhile, VeChain's already had this experience of building enterprise applications since 2017. So, and it's a perfect marrying of moments, I think. Everything is kind of converging. I mean, and obviously the broader Web3 space gaining traction as well. I mean, you see US regulators finally starting to warm up. We had ETH news yesterday. Maybe the ETFs might get looked at favorably. The tides are turning. It's a very exciting time. And I think for VeChain and BCG, where we're targeting, it's a really kind of great marrying of moments. So looking forward to it.
Likewise.
Cool.
Cool.
Stick it there, partner.
For the next 2 years, stick this together.
Yeah.
All right.
We're done.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys and girls.